From an online catfish victim to a married woman chasing her Indian fairy tale.
I was skeptical, like, why me? Why was he choosing me? Especially when he's half my age. But I just went along with him.
To financially dependent, struggling, and stuck at 67 inside her in-laws' home. This is the story of how Jenny Slatten went from 90 Day Fiancé's unlikely love success to one of the franchise's most uncomfortable cautionary tales. When Jenny Slatten first appeared on 90 Day Fiancé, The Other Way in 2019, viewers were firmly on her side. She was a 60-year-old American woman who fell in love with a man 3 decades younger, uprooted her entire life, moved across the world, and refused to quit, even in the face of his family's harsh rejection.
Okay.
Bad.
Okay, this is bad. So what you want to do? It's good. It's bad. Good.
Why are you yelling at me?
I said I know you're going to go with your parents, and I'm going to be left by myself.
Fast forward 6 years, and the love story now feels deeply unsettling to watch. Jenny is 67, living in her in-laws' crowded home in Jaipur, struggling with basic duties at the family cafe, and openly admitting on camera that her sex life with Sumit is over because of constant stress. She can't drive in India. She still barely speaks Hindi, despite living there for years. She depends on Sumit for almost every aspect of daily life. And suddenly, Sumit's mother, Sadhna, doesn't look like the villain she once did. Jenny first connected with Sumit online in 2011, but not really. She was actually talking to Michael Jones, a fake profile Sumit created using someone else's photos. They spent months video chatting while Sumit carefully avoided showing his real face. Eventually, the truth surfaced. Sumit confessed who he really was, and shockingly, Jenny didn't walk away. Instead, she flew to India in 2013 to meet him in person. That visit led to the first major betrayal. Jenny stayed with Sumit's family for 4 months, pretending to be just a friend. His parents welcomed her into their home, fed her, housed her, and treated her with respect. Sumit's mother, Sadhna, even taught Jenny how to cook and clean the Indian way. All while Jenny and Sumit were secretly in a romantic relationship, lying to his parents daily while benefiting from their hospitality. When the truth finally came out, Sadhna felt deeply betrayed, and honestly, who wouldn't? But that wasn't even the worst revelation. After Jenny returned to the US, Sumit dropped another bombshell. He was already married, an arranged marriage, to another woman. Meanwhile, Jenny had been sending him money, emotionally supporting him, and planning a future together, completely unaware he had a wife. And then Jenny did something even more shocking. She helped pay for his divorce. She drained her savings, cashed out her 401k, and funded the legal process to end his marriage. Once the divorce was finalized, Sumit was finally free. And Jenny, now in her 60s, moved to India permanently to begin their life together. Fans loved it. The underdog storyline was irresistible. Love beating cultural barriers. An older woman refusing to let society define her happiness. Early seasons showed Jenny fighting for acceptance, Sumit clashing with his family, and the couple navigating rejection, visas, and endless pressure before finally marrying in 2021. Their wedding was a small Arya Samaj ceremony. Sumit's family was intentionally excluded to avoid drama. It was bittersweet, but it felt like a win. That was the high point of Jenny and Sumit's journey. The moment it seemed like everything had finally worked out. But reality TV victories never last. After the wedding, the couple appeared in multiple spin-offs, 90 Day Diaries, Happily Ever After, and The Other Way Seasons 6 and 7. And the more viewers saw them as a married couple, the more the cracks became impossible to ignore. Jenny complained constantly about the heat, missing America, feeling lonely, Sumit's family, and not having her own space. She struggled with everyday basics, counting rupees, shopping alone, cooking traditional meals without assistance. Sumit worked as a chef to support them, but the pay was modest. Jenny's social security helped, but it wasn't enough for true independence. They leaned heavily on his family. Then, in mid-2025, everything fell apart. Sumit lost his chef job. With no steady income and limited savings, they had no option but to move in with his parents, brother, sister-in-law, and nephew. The same family that once rejected their relationship was now supporting them entirely. Jenny went from struggling with cultural adjustment to being immersed in it non-stop. Shared bathrooms, zero privacy, constant family presence, early mornings, expectations to help with chores and the family's newly opened cafe. Season 7 shows Jenny at her lowest point. In 2025, Sumit's family opened a cafe, hoping to create a shared business for financial stability. Jenny was brought in to help, possibly as a cashier or barista. It didn't go well. Episodes show her confused by orders, struggling to give correct change, and complaining about early mornings. She admits on camera that she's not good at it and would rather be retired. Her daughter-in-law handles the complicated tasks while Jenny struggles with the basics. Orders get messed up. Simple customer interactions overwhelm her. Viewers were ruthless, watching Happily Ever After, and I'm very disappointed in Jenny. After all her time in India, she still doesn't understand the importance of the family unit in Indian culture. She expects Sumit to think Western. It doesn't work that way. Another wrote, Jenny complains a lot for someone who had to move in with Sumit's family. She contributes nothing and still acts entitled. The family tried to stay patient, but resentment grew. They were housing her, feeding her, financially supporting her, and employing her. Yet she continued to complain instead of adapting. And the situation slowly turned into a pressure cooker. Another fan commented, Jenny complains non-stop for someone who literally had to move in with Sumit's family. She adds, nothing of value, and still acts entitled. The family attempted to remain patient, but frustration steadily grew. They were paying her expenses, giving her a roof, feeding her, and even providing her work. Yet she came across as ungrateful, choosing complaints over contribution. The environment slowly turned into a pressure cooker. Under pressure, Jenny's behavior revealed patterns fans could no longer ignore. She regularly yells at Sumit, jabs her finger in his face during arguments, delivers cruel verbal digs, swears at him. On camera, she's been seen lunging toward him, thrusting her hands at him, and screaming when situations don't go her way. In Season 6, she called him degrading names during fights centered around his family. Back in Season 4, viewers criticized her physical aggression when she pointed in his face shortly after his mother disowned him. Meanwhile, Sumit typically stays composed. He tries to calm situations down, reason through issues, and de-escalate. That contrast only makes Jenny's outbursts look worse. Her total lack of accountability became impossible to overlook. She blames Sumit for everything: the slow acceptance from his family, their financial struggles, their living arrangement, and the cultural challenges she faces. Yet she refuses to acknowledge her own role. Her decision not to properly learn Hindi despite living in India for years, her limited contribution to the household, her habit of complaining rather than problem solving. When the family tries to teach her tasks, she pushes back. When expectations are set, she frames it as being treated like a servant. By late 2025, Jenny admitted on camera that their sex life was over because of stress. She described living with Sumit's family as a nightmare. Fans began asking the uncomfortable question, is Jenny actually the problem? One of her biggest controversies came during Season 5's Tell-All in late 2023, involving a heated clash with fellow cast member Kimberly Rochelle. Both women had moved to India for younger Indian partners. But when Kimberly voiced her struggles, criticizing aspects of India and expressing frustration with cultural differences, Jenny exploded. She labeled Kimberly disrespectful, entitled, and ungrateful. Jenny framed herself as the ideal example of cultural adaptation, someone who embraced India despite hardship. Kimberly didn't hold back. She fired back, calling Jenny fake, delusional, and using harsh insults. She dismissed Jenny's opinions entirely and referred to Sumit as a loser. The confrontation exposed Jenny's hypocrisy. She condemned Kimberly for failing to adapt, while she herself struggled with basic daily functions, resisted learning the language, and complained relentlessly on camera. At the time, most fans sided with Jenny because Kimberly's delivery was aggressive. But viewed through the lens of Season 7, Jenny's moral high ground collapses. She isn't the success story of cultural integration she claimed to be. She was simply better at hiding her struggles until reality caught up. In December 2025, a swoon interview with Jenny went viral, but not for good reasons. Viewers noticed her speech appeared slower and slightly slurred. She looked exhausted and worn down. Online speculation erupted, with fans questioning whether she'd suffered a stroke, neurological issue, or stress-related health event. One viewer wrote, "She's clearly had some kind of neurological episode. Her speech is noticeably slower." Jenny's daughter, Christina, later stated that Jenny was okay after visiting the US alone in late 2025. But concerns lingered. Jenny is 67, living in an extremely high-stress environment with no independence, no privacy, and constant family tension. She doesn't drive. She struggles to communicate in the local language. She relies entirely on Sumit. The age gap that once seemed romantic now raises serious concerns. What happens when her health declines? When she needs long-term medical care? When she becomes even more dependent? Sumit is 36. He should be building stability, advancing his career, and planning his future. Instead, he's supporting a partner who cannot support herself, and who his family never wanted him to marry. The situation darkened quickly. Rewatching the early seasons with hindsight, Sadhana's objections no longer feel unreasonable. She opposed the relationship because of the extreme age gap, because Jenny was old enough to be Sumit's mother, because she feared Jenny wouldn't integrate into Indian culture or contribute to the family. She warned that Jenny would struggle with household responsibilities, resist adaptation, and become a burden. And she was right, about nearly everything. Sadhana tried to teach Jenny how an Indian household functions. She showed her how to cook, clean, and meet cultural expectations. She attempted to prepare her for the reality of being an Indian daughter-in-law. Jenny resisted at every turn. She wanted acceptance without effort, commitment without compromise. Now Sadhana, in her later years, lives with a daughter-in-law who contributes little, complains constantly, and brought years of tension into the family, despite having once betrayed them through secrecy. Fans who once labeled Sadhana as cruel or controlling are now reconsidering. Maybe she wasn't heartless. Maybe she was realistic about a relationship that was never sustainable. Over time, she even softened, accepting the marriage, helping Jenny with yoga, and defending the relationship to relatives. Yet every concern she voiced years ago has come true. Sumit's mother warned everyone. No one listened. From catfish victim to married woman to struggling dependent, Jenny's story proves that love and good intentions aren't enough when cultural divides are this wide and life stages are this mismatched. And the saddest part? Everyone saw it coming, except the two people living it.